two values, and here's an is key press method here. It's a bool method, and it gets and returns the current key being pressed. And if it's an up key, it moves up, and it's down, and then it moves down, and if it's left, it moves left, and like that. And finally we have to use an update method. So we get the current keyboard state first and store it into the last keyboard state, and get the new keyboard state stored into the current keyboard state. So that's what this code does. So we have to go again into the shooter, and we have created an object here from that input state class we created, and inside the initialize method we have that, and the speed variable is given a value like 10, and then inside the update we have called the update method we created earlier, and is another vector called move, and it's given the value 0, and this code is actually not needed here because we are not going to use a gamepad. So this set of code will update the position of the sprite according to the key pressed, and if the input is moved left, then it will take the x component of the move vector and deduct the value given for speed, and each time we press the left button this will happen, and for the right, move right also, it will add, and move up, move down, so the same thing happens. And we have to update the position here, and the position becomes position plus the value of the move vector. So it will update the position of the sprite on the screen, and we have to replace what's written previously in here. We have written like new rectangle and 0 0 and something like that, so we have to replace it using this position. So that's what you have to do in order to move that sprite we created earlier. Let's see whether it works. Now let's see how we can do a simple collision detection using XNA. Even though there are several types of collision detection techniques, I'm going to explain a very simple type of collision detection, which is called the rectangle collision detection. To do that, I have added another image into a project, and I have created another texture 2D type called enemy image, and another list type which will hold a list of objects which can be accessed by an index called enemy positions, and another float variable called enemy spawn probability, which will be used to determine the number of enemy ships which will be drawn into the game screen. And I have given a value like 0.01, and is an integer type named enemy fall speed, which will determine the speed of the enemy ships which are drawn, and this random will generate a random number, and there's a bool type called player hit, which will be used to detect a collision, and initially it's set false. And then as we did earlier, I have loaded that enemy image type into this enemy image we initialized earlier. And then inside this update method, I have written this code. If this random.next double generates a random number between 0 and 1, and if it's less than the enemy spawn probability, which is 0.01, then it will create new enemy ships into the screen, and it will be added into that enemy positions list we created. And this is used to determine a rectangular area inside that player ship we are using. The image height and width will be used, and as well as the positions, x and y positions. And the player hit, which is the bool variable we initialized earlier, and it's the value is set as false. And this inside this for loop, I'm going to animate the enemy ships, which will be fallen from the top of the screen and go down. So I'm updating this y value of the each enemy ship by adding the enemy's fall speed, the value inside the enemy fall speed, which we have set it to 1. And here we are setting a rectangular area of that enemy ship. So we are taking the enemy image width and the height and the positions as well, and we are determining a rectangular area around that enemy image. And then inside this if condition, we are checking whether those two rectangular areas which we determined earlier, which is the enemy rectangle and the player rectangle, are intersecting. So this method will check that, and if an intersection occurs, then the player hit value will be set to true, which is the bool variable. And this code will check whether an enemy ship goes out of the screen, and it will be removed. And then inside this draw method, I am using another if condition here. If the player hit value, which is the bool variable value, is true, then the screen color I am setting as